widened the lids, and for a long moment they stared in silence, and then he began to walk very slowly, a step at a time, towards the girl. Now, as he faced her, she saw that there was no longer a hint of yellow in his eyes, but he stepped closer and closer. He was right before her, watching her with an expression of mute suffering that made her heart grow large. He said, more to himself than to her, "Seems like I've been away a long time." "A very long time," she whispered. He drew a great breath. "Is it true what Buck said about you?" "Oh, my dear," she cried. "Don't you see?" He started a little, and taking both her hands he made her face the dull light from the windows. "Seems like you're kind of pale, Kate." "The color went out while I waited for you, Dan." "But there comes a touch of red like morning in your throat and running up your cheeks." "Don't you see? It's because you've come back." He closed his eyes and murmured, "I remember we was close, closer than this. We were sitting here in this room by a fire, and then something called me out, and I followed it. The wild geese, yes." "Wild geese?" he repeated blankly, and then shook his head. "How could wild geese call me? But things happened. I was kept away. Sometimes I wanted to come back to you, but somehow I could never get started. Was it 10 years ago that I left?" "Months. Months longer than years." "What is it?" he asked. "I've been watching you and waiting to find out what was different in you. Black Bart seen something in you. I don't know what. Today I sort of guessed what it is. I can feel it now. It's something like a pain. It starts sort of in the stomach, Kate. It's like being away from a place where you want to be. Queer, ain't it? I ain't far from you. I got your hands in mine, but somehow you don't feel near. I want to walk a long ways closer, and the pain keeps growing." His voice fell away to a murmur, and now a deadly silence lay between them, and it seemed as if lights were varying upon their faces, so swift and subtle were the changes of expression, and they drew closer by imperceptible degrees. So his arms, fumbling, found their way about her, drew her closer, till her head dropped back and her face was close beneath his. "Was it true," he whispered, "what Buck said?" "There's nothing true, except that we're together." "But your eyes are brimful of tears." "The same pain you feel, Dan, the same loneliness and the hurt. But it's going now. I feel as I've been riding 3 days without more'n enough water to moisten my tongue every hour, and with the sand white hot, and my horse staggering, and the sun dropping closer and closer till the mountains are touched with white fire. Then I come in the evening to a valley with cool shadows beginning to slip across the western side, and I stand in the shadow and feel the red hot blood go smashing, smashing, smashing in my temples, and then a sound of running water somewhere up the hillside, running, cool, fresh, sparkling water, whispering over the rocks. Oh, God, that's what it means to me to stand here close to you, Kate. And it's like standing up in the morning on the top of a high hill and seeing the light jump up quick in the east, and there lies all the world at my feet, mile after mile of it. They's a river like silver away off yonder, and they's range after range walking off into the blue nothing. That's what it's like to stand here and look down into them blue eyes of yours, Kate, miles and miles into them, till I feel as if I can see your heart beneath. And they's the rose of the morning on your cheeks, and the breath of the morning stirring between your lips, and the light of the rising sun comes flaring in your eyes, and I own the world. I own the world. 2 burning pieces of wood, that's you and me, and when I was away from you the fire went down to a smolder, but now that we're close a wind hits us, the flames come together and rise and jump and twine together. 2 pieces of burning wood, but only one flame. Do you feel it? Oh, Kate, our bodies is ashes and dust, and all that's worthwhile is that flame blowing up from us, setting the world on fire. End of chapter 34.